All right, the intensity is obviously building up. Look at the red on your screen. Earnings parade after the close will play a major role. I'm going to bring in Simpler Trading VP of Options, Danielle Shay. Danielle, we're going to start with Amazon. First, let me bring the folks up to speed. Looking for about $143 billion in revenue, 84 cents, I think, earnings. Here's the thing, folks. The last three times this company reported, the stock did extraordinarily well. The day it reported it was up, and the week after it was up. The three times before that, though, the exact opposite. It got absolutely hammered. Now, what about the charts? What are the charts telling us? Well, not only did it go under the 50-day moving average like many of the other tech names, but it got back above it and it's hanging in there pretty good. This is a stock that's poised. It looks to me, at least, Danielle, that if it breaks through 190, it could be off to the races. What are the chances of that?
Charles, I agree with you. Amazon has been on a positive trajectory lately, and what we've seen with this company is that there's a high likelihood that it's going to trade higher after earnings. We have about a $13 expected move, and we have that previous area of resistance at 190. So I think it's highly possible that we trade up into 200 and ultimately my 220 price target. But here's the thing, Charles, with what we've seen this earnings season, we know that the market has very high expectations. So if Amazon can't crush it, then that's when we need to be cautious. Right. Below 165, if we have a bad result, that's where the NASDAQ is going to get incredibly dicey.
All right. By the way, a pretty sizable gap to be filled there on the downside, to your point. And after that, the 200-day moving average is 151. So, yeah, a lot at stake. That's going to be a huge mover. Speaking of huge movers, Super Micro. I mean, golly, this is an amazing stock. Up 700% in the last year. It erupted last year. Last time they reported their earnings, the stock was up 35% in 1 week. I think this is when a lot of folks who had never heard of the company jumped on the bandwagon. You can see 5 out of the last 7 times it's reported, the stock has been higher. So this is a name that's done extraordinarily well on earnings reports. The chart speaks for itself. Up, 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 up. Here's one thing you see, folks. It gets overbought, severely overbought, but it's never been severely oversold. So down here, it looks like maybe if that holds yet again, Danielle, that's going to be a huge mover. Well, we know it's going to be a huge mover, but what in which direction?
Charles, I completely agree with your analysis, and people have been buying the stock left and right, and everybody wants this company to do well after earnings today. But here's the thing, is that if it doesn't, we're going to be in for some downside, especially in the semiconductors. With this stock, we have about $113 expected move in it.
We've got to say that again, folks. This stock is going to move $113 either way after the bell. That's what you're telling me.
That's what the options market is pricing in, Charles.
Wow. All right. Listen, I know that there's at least half a dozen firms, maybe more, with a $1,000, $1,100 price target on it. So, yeah, set up for some disappointment if that happens. But, golly, I got to tell you, it's been an absolute monster. Okay. AMD is starting to get a little bit lost in the sauce, right? It's been struggling here a little bit. Last time they reported, it was down. In fact, it was down 2 of the last 3 times it's reported. It hasn't really done a whole lot. You know, our friend Beth Kindig also put out a note this morning that since February, executives have sold $100 million worth of the stock, including the CEO. She sold $50 million, and that's like the biggest cluster since 2021. Danielle, I'm putting the chart up here for the folks to see. Here's what we don't see with these other tech names. It cut through the 50-day moving average like a hot knife through butter. Never even paused. Here's the 50-day moving average, and it's looming large. Looks a little vulnerable to me. What do you see?
Charles, I agree that AMD has been vulnerable, and if this stock moves below 140, that's going to be the spot where I'm going to have to change my opinion. I love AMD, love the company. I've been holding the stock, but you know what? I love that you pointed out that the investors have been selling shares, because you know what? Lisa Su is an incredibly smart lady, and you know what? I think she's probably selling because she wants some of that change in her pocket. But you know what? What happens is investors get nervous when the executives sell. Yeah. So it's possible, Charles, that we actually get a great report from AMD and we see AMD up above $180, and investors know they don't have to worry about the fact that these executives have been selling shares.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if it's a few bucks, no one cares, right? It's called management, but when it starts getting $50, $100 million, it does raise an eyebrow or two. Obviously, I'll be thinking about you after the bell when these numbers come out. Danielle, thank you for helping us with this as always.
Thank you.
All right, folks.